Peace and blessings, and thank you for stopping by Sindy Farm. We cleared this land in January of 24, and we planted our garden here. Now, mind you, we're coming from a growing zone of 6B, which was in Pennsylvania, and we're coming down to Georgia into a growing zone of 8B. So we're skipping down 2 zones, and zones actually, the hotter the climate, the higher the zone number is. And basically, it's a totally different temperature zone, it's a totally different climate that we have not totally gotten acclimated to. So I want to show you some of our plants and some of the things that we might not have got right, but we're going to get it right today. So come with me. So these are some of my kale plants, and as you can see, they're a little bit wilted, obviously, because it's the hottest part of the day, and that's normal, but they're very small. Also, my tomato plants here are small as well. And if you notice, my pepper plants are barely even coming up. Why aren't my plants growing? The first thing that I have to check is myself. Am I being impatient? Number one, I'm coming from a totally different grow zone. So in 6B, I wouldn't have even planted these plants yet. It's May 2nd. I probably wouldn't plant it until May 15th after the threat of the last frost. But here, not understanding the climate or how things grow in the soil, I have to consider maybe I'm being impatient. So what would I do? I would take my cues from nature. And if you look out into the natural plants here on the farm, you'll notice that everything is already leafed, all the trees are leafed, and even though the leaves are not truly totally mature, it gives me an indication that my plants should really be a little further along than what they are. I don't think it's me, so I can check that off the list. I don't think I'm being impatient about the growth of my plants. So there are 3 things that a plant needs in order to thrive. 1 is the sun, 2 is water, and 3 is good soil. If you notice, my beds here are facing east-west. So the sun starts in the east and it travels to the west. And this is south and this is north. My beds are tracking the sun. So I don't believe that my plants are not getting enough sunlight. Secondly, I am watering, especially the baby plants, daily. So water is not an issue. I believe it's the soil. When we started this garden, we amended the soil because here in Georgia, there is the red clay that is really compacted. So it holds water. When it rains, you know, it gets really slippery, but it also gets very compacted in the heat. So we added some composted manure when we started. We added some worm compost and some things to try to, you know, aerate it and make it a little bit more pliable, but I don't think we added enough. So what I have here is some composted manure. This is actually from my neighbor's horse farm. I know it's a credible source. I've used it before and I've gotten it and I've let it sit for a whole year to break down. And if you notice, it has no smell to it whatsoever, and it kind of even looks more like soil. So I'm going to use this as organic matter to put over my plants. Now I can't work it into the beds at this point because the plants are coming up, but I can put it on top of the plants. And in here, I have some friends, and I don't know if I see, here's one. There's my friend right there. And these earthworms are really important. They will burrow through this organic matter into the soil that's existing, and they will pull some of this down into the existing soil for me. In addition to this composted manure, I'm also going to add some wood ash from the fireplace. Now, I just have a very small quantity because this can be a little dangerous for your plants. I happen to know that our soil is a little on the acidic side, but this is extremely alkaline. So putting this on your plants sometimes can kill your plants if they become too alkaline. So I'm just going to add a small amount. The horse manure has high nitrogen. The wood ash has potassium, and these are things that the plants need. In addition to that, I have a little bit of sulfur that I had in my greenhouse, and this is acidic. This is actually organic digestible sulfur. So I found this in my greenhouse, and I'm just going to crumble up a little bit of that in here. And what this sulfur will do is neutralize the alkalinity of the wood ash, so it won't change the pH too much. So I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add some of my Epsom salt that I use to take my baths. So I'm just going to add a couple of handfuls of this into my mixture, and I will mix all of this up. And by the way, all of this was free. I didn't buy any of this for this project. These are things that I had around the farm. So that's an added benefit. So I'm going to mix this up, make sure I get it nice and mixed. And what I'm creating here is a multitude of minerals and nutrients for the soil. What I will do once I put this down over selected areas of my garden, I'm going to use these pine needles that I gathered today to do a thick mulch over the top so that it will seal in the moisture, and the plants will have a little bit more moisture in the soil, because I'm noticing that this soil dries out easily. So I'm going to mix this up real well, and I'm going to start administering it to the plants, and I'll be right back. So I'm here at my tomato plant, and I'm going to take my organic matter, and I'm going to just lay it out over all of my tomatoes. Cover this bed with this organic matter. And once I get this covered, I'm going to put the existing mulch that I took off of the plants back, and I'm going to add more mulch so that I have a really thick barrier here. And then I'm going to take my hose and water everything through and through, and I'll be right back. I've already put my organic matter on top of this bed. In my organic matter, I had the composted manure, I had Epsom salt, I had stove ash, sorry, and I also put a little sulfur in that to kind of neutralize that. So I didn't put anything on here that would harm the plants. Everything should be in balance, but I gave them a variety of minerals so that they can pick and choose what they need. I also put a heavy layer of the pine needles on top, and I'm getting ready to water everything in. And I'm going to go through my garden, and anything that doesn't look stable, I'm going to do the same process. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video, and we'll see the progress that happens. At the end of the season, I'm going to compost all of my beds down, and I'll leave them like that until next year. And year by year by year, I'll amend the soil into what I want it to be. So thank you for watching. Please comment, please subscribe, please like this video, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.